Hi, I'm Geert Van Gele and I want to talk to you about how to clean your recorders. This video is part of a series that accompany the iBook Thoughts on the Recorder, which is available through my webshop kattenburg.net. You can find the link in the description, and I also have included a clickable link at the end of this video if you want to learn more about it. The most common method to clean your recorder is just wiping them dry after playing session. This is pretty much a no-brainer, since you don't want to leave all the accumulated moisture in the bore, where it can penetrate the wood. This could result in swelling of the wood, cracking or creating mildew. I strongly advise to leave the recorder to further dry out in the open air, where it can dry easiest. Certainly not in an enclosed case, where you will have some mildew growing in no time, especially in the windway. Actually, what I like to do after playing for an extended time on any recorder is knocking out the block. By doing so, the block as well as the instrument will dry in record time. Also, you get to inspect the windway for any dirt, oil, condensation that may need attention. Even when wet, a block should be able to be knocked out of the instrument. If you're not able to remove the block when wet, your instrument is at risk of cracking due to too much pressure from the block on the bore. If you're not able to knock out the block when wet, you can better wait until the instrument is really dry, maybe even a couple of days. Then you can try again to remove the block with the following procedure. First of all, a disclaimer. Since I'm not able to oversee the actions you take, I don't take any responsibility in case something goes wrong and your instrument is being damaged. So please pay close attention to the following instructions, and if you feel unsure, rather have your instrument checked by a professional or a builder. You want to make sure you take a wooden dowel with a size somewhat smaller than the bore of your instrument. Please make sure to stay away at any given moment from the labium, which is a thin wooden knife, as well as the chamfer, which is very delicate as well. Therefore, put the head joint in the following position. Keep the beak of the head joint about 1 centimeter or 2, about 1 inch, away from your tummy with the labium facing up. Insert the dowel and make sure the inserted end of the dowel keeps touching the underside of the bore. Do this by lifting the end of the dowel up. In this way, you keep the dowel safely away from the labium as well as the chamfer. Once the block is partially out, you can now pull it out by hand. If the block is too loose, your tummy will prevent it from flying out and possibly damaging. Now, how can you tell if the block is too tight fitting? The simple answer is when you can push it back with your thumb without hammering on it, then you are safe. If you do need to hammer it in just a tiny bit, lay your dowel across the block and knock on the dowel, not directly on the block, since you might damage the wood like this. If your block is fitting too tightly, you want to take some wood off the block, but be careful though. Don't do this randomly. Just to make sure we are on the same page here, we will only take tiny bits of wood off the underside of the block. Never do anything to the flat surface, since this will destroy the block if you are not a builder. First, you want to check on your block where there are some shiny parts visible. These shiny parts are the places where there is all the friction concentrated when the block is inserted in the head joint. If you would take away all of the shiny surfaces, you will inevitably change the position of the block, so please don't. Rather, take away tiny slivers. Cut away these slivers next to one another so that there is still little bits of the original wood surface visible. In this way, the block will have space to expand where the slivers have been cut away, while maintaining its original position in the head joint. While the block is out of the instrument, it's good practice to regularly clean the windway. This means cleaning both the flat surface of the block as well as the roof of the windway. For this, we use our bottle with washing soda solution. If you are not sure what I'm talking about, please check the video about the maintenance kit. With a soft toothbrush, you can now clean both surfaces. In order to protect the soft wood of the block, it's a good idea to always stroke the block in the direction of the wind flow. Also, make sure you don't touch the chamfer with the bristles. The best way to do this is to ease off the pressure while nearing the chamfer. The wood of the head joint is less critical, so here you can brush in both directions, but again here pay close attention to stay away from the chamfer of the roof, and even more attention to the labium. When the recorder is really dirty, you may very carefully clean the underside of the labium, but please stay also clear of the thinnest part of the labium. You may let the washing soda soak in for a minute before you clean it off. One more side note about the washing soda. It has strong degreasing qualities, so if you spill some on the outside of your recorder, please always quickly wipe it off. If you notice a slight discoloration on these spots, it'll be easily fixed by rubbing some oil on it again. After you have cleaned the block and reinserted it in the head joint, you may want to give the windway an extra treatment by putting some anti-condense solution in the wind instrument. Here is how you do this. With the anti-condense solution, you fill the entire windway by holding the head joint upside down, while closing off the windway with your finger. Even though I have similar bottles for anti-condense and for washing soda, I do want to clarify that the content is very different. The anti-condense detergent we use for breaking the surface tension of the condensation drops. This prevents clogging of the windway, and the washing soda somehow doesn't do the trick for declogging, even though it has strong degreasing properties as well. Keep the anti-condense solution in the windway for a minute before letting it drip out. You can now blow out the head joint while covering the bottom part with the palm of your hand. Any excess fluid will be expelled. Your recorder is now ready to rock, or baroque if you prefer. Plastic recorders are very prone to clogging up, since they don't have a wooden block. You can apply the same anti-condense solution for declogging, if you want, but there is more simple procedure at hand. I squirt some pure detergent, dishwashing liquid, straight into the windway and put the whole instrument in a tub of lukewarm water. After about 10 minutes, I dry the instrument and I'm good to go for at least a week or two. Please take note here not to rinse the windway in any way. You want to have a thin film of detergent remaining on the surface of the windway. Rinsing would nullify the effect. A student of mine used to only squirt detergent in the windway of his plastics and would let it drip out overnight without adding any water. This seemed to work too. You may want to try out and see what suits best for you. As a last bit on recorder maintenance, I would like to discuss threading the tabs of the middle joint. When you have a recorder with cork joints, these will eventually come loose and break, especially if you oil your instruments on a regular basis. The cork seems to harden from the oil and becomes brittle after a decent amount of time. The solution to this is changing the cork with a historically correct thread. I like to leave the finishing bit of the thread hanging loose, so it's easy to rewind in case the joint is too loose or too stiff. Alternatively, you could apply a bit of wax to the end bit to keep it in place. If you want to do it really neatly, here is how to go about it. You start with a loop, leaving the start of the thread a good bit sticking out on the bottom. Next, you wind normally, while making sure not to put too much force on the windings. You may otherwise end up putting too much pressure on the bore. This may result in compressing the wood and eventually changing the bore diameter. After the windings are all done, you can cut off the thread and lead the end bit through the loop with which you started the windings. Now pull on the start bit. Here you will find out if you have put the windings too tightly or not. If too tight, you won't be able to pull on the start of the thread. If done correctly, you can now pull the end bit of the thread under the windings. The moment the end bit has disappeared under the windings, you're all set. Cut off both start and end, and you have a beautifully threaded joint. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. In the next video I will talk about some quick tuning fixes for your recorder. See you next time and have a great day.